I'm joined here with Mr. Rnic from the St. George's Music Department. Now today we're going to talk about the recent University of Puget Sound band trip. So Mr. Rnic, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So in your opinion, how did the trip went? How was it?
This was a spectacular trip. We had tremendous results in all aspects. It was the very, very first time that we went off to do a joint concert with the University Wind Ensemble. And when you look at the logistics of that, they are formidable. The boys played magnificently well, great success in all areas.
So Mr. Rnic, what do we do during our most recent band trip in Washington State?
So the trip was designed as a truly an educational experience. Once we got to our hotel, once we checked in, I managed to book the concert hall at the university there. So we had a couple of hours of rehearsal, and it was really valuable for us because it is a spectacular concert hall, but it's a very live and vibrant hall. We spent 2 hours in adjusting our output levels. In other words, how do you play softly with expression as compared to too loudly, and therefore more poor results just because of playing too loudly. It took a full 2 hours to get at that. We got back to the hotel that night. The next morning we were back at the university. We had a workshop with Dr. Robert Musser. And there's an interesting story here. Dr. Musser was the director at University of Puget Sound some 28 years ago. And it was just so wonderful to be able to engage him and to have him come out to the university and do a workshop, because he's given St. George's senior bands workshops probably 4 times in the past. He's brought the University of Puget Sound Wind Ensemble here, and that was 28 years ago. So he had a lot of energy, he had great insight, everyone picked up from what he said. And the pleasing thing for me is to be able to report to everyone that he this year turned 80 years old, and he brought such not only knowledge and wisdom, but energy and drive to the way he taught us. We went off, we had lunch at a mall, had a chance to relax for a little bit, and then we got back and we had a great workshop with Dr. Morris. We got into our concert attire. We attended the UPS Wind Ensemble sound check, and that was our first opportunity to listen to the group, and that was really a wonderful experience. And then we had our joint rehearsal with them and got on the stage with them and had 15 minutes where we could practice the march that we did with them, the Symphonic Metamorphosis, which is a ridiculously difficult piece. Again, after dinner, we did the concert, had a lovely reception with the ensemble afterwards. So nice to see a few St. George's parents came down for the concert. And of course, the next morning we packed up and we made our way home. So a great overall educational experience with a lot of fun mixed in.
Could you tell me a little bit more about how this relationship between St. George's School and the University of Puget Sound came about? How did we get this opportunity to perform there?
So 2 years ago, we had gone to the Vancouver Kiwanis Festival. We normally take 3 or 4, sometimes 5 bands. And we had a workshop, our wind ensemble had a workshop with the conductor from the University of Puget Sound, and that's Dr. Morris. And he worked with the group, and he had such a brilliant way of working with the students that I had very long conversations with him afterwards. And what I did is I asked him if he'd be interested in coming and being a guest at the school. So I have 3 programs here at the school. A guest conductor program, where I invite someone who's outstanding to come live at the school, be here for 5 days. Also a guest soloist program, and you saw that with our winter concert with our guest clarinetist this year. And also what I call a musician in residence. So that is a wonderful teacher who will come again, stay with here at the school for a week and teach all the students. And it was last year at this time when it was actually Dr. Morris who said, I think it'd be wonderful if we could put our wind ensembles together in some way. And I said, great, let's see what we can do. And he very shortly then gave me an invitation. He said, hey, how would you like to come down to the school bring the senior band and we'll do a joint concert together. I said, that's fantastic, let's give it a try.
So, throughout the years, the senior band definitely has a lot of outside experiences. What would you say, in your opinion, is the most important thing that you hope they will get out of these experiences?
It all comes down to life lessons. If you take a look at what we do in music, it's a ridiculously difficult thing to learn to play an instrument, not just to mechanically reproduce something, but to become artistic on what you're doing. You look at the element of team that's involved as well. You look at the way that people have to work together, talk, discuss, change in order to get a great musical result. You look at the way that people, on one hand, are asked to be individually expressive, yet we all have to be very disciplined and do all things at the same time in the same way. High expectations, but yet caring for people who are having trouble meeting those expectations. I think these are all life lessons.
Now, Mr. Rnic, from your experience, what did you gain from all of these experiences outside of school that the band has had? How have you learned?
Do you mean over the past 30 years, or specifically this trip?
You can talk about the past 30 years, or if there's something specific from this trip that you'd like to share as well, that would be great.
So, I look at myself as someone who tries to learn from every situation. And one of the reasons that I haven't been here for 30 years, and one of the reasons I'm enthusiastic every day to come to school, is to spend time with my students. I learn things, a great number of things, and I think things of great significance from my students. Everything from little conversations and finding out what's going on in someone's life, perhaps offering a little advice or a little assistance, right through to seeing how students at this school have changed over the course of the past 30 years. I see warm, wonderful, caring human beings at this school now. And that certainly wasn't the case when I first got here. It was, I think, a little bit of a rougher, tougher place. I think students were nowhere nearly as considerate of each other back then. Certainly not in all cases, but just overall. So I'm learning a lot about myself, a lot of a way of going from my students here. I think that's the most valuable thing that I can tell you about in teaching students music here, but also in traveling with them. Of course, when you travel, the experience are just that much more intense.
So, Mr. Rnic, I would like to thank you again for joining me in this interview and talking about our most recent band trip.
Thank you very much.